September the 30th, 2024. Guys, you're looking at the U.S. power outage map. It's actually, you can go there by going to poweroutage.us. Now, in California, I think you guys are maybe going through some rolling blackouts. It's been very hot there. Not exactly sure, but maybe that's what we're seeing there. Florida, you're just now coming out of the red. You're down to 89,981 out. Now, and someone from Florida mentioned that, and it makes sense, that a lot of the infrastructure is buried underground, and it doesn't necessarily, when it gets cut off, mean that it's been destroyed. They're cutting it off for safety reasons. And when it's underground, of course, you don't have trees falling on the light lines and things like that. But you're down to 89,981 meters, not customers, so it's probably a lot more than that. Now, that's not it's not a very good thought for the people that are there stuck with this, because it's been very hot in the south. Here in central Mississippi, I know it has. Anyway, I wanted to come here and do this. First, I wanted to give everybody a couple of days of break on the hurricane situation, the incoming, and all of that. I've been watching every bit of information I could find on the devastating floods that came through the Smoky Mountains and all of that area. Of course, Florida got hit hard. Some record storm surge, 20 feet in some places. Boats stacked up in front of apartments. But in the Appalachian area, I've been to Cherokee many times. I've been to Clingman's Dome, climbed up there many times. Of course, you get on into Gatlinburg. I'll go on there many times and try to go there when we go to D.C. Beautiful country. And you think about it, people that have been living there 60, 70 years have never seen anything like that. None of us have seen it on the news, even that have never been there or been through there during this type of flood. But if we look at maybe 100-year cycle, we have to realize that, and we're seeing changes right now. The earth is changing. But if you look at that, and I'm sure that the insurance companies are going to be looking at it too, guys, because we've seen what's happened in Florida. You can't hardly afford to have a home without skyrocketing of flood insurance, hurricane damage, things like that. So one thing I think you're going to experience, and because of that, is that when you try to rebuild or you try to refinance and rebuild or whatever it is, that insurance clause is going to change, and it's going to be much more expensive. But my heart goes out to all of you guys, and prayers are up, because something like that, we've seen, guys, entire towns just become a mud flow through there. Things that have been there again since we were all kids, like in Gatlinburg, places like that, further north. But let's just take a look. Again, Florida, 89,891. That is meters, not people. Georgia, 525,000. South Carolina, 665,924. North Carolina, 391,617. Virginia, 90,000. And guys, this storm, it came out of nowhere in the Caribbean. We've got another one doing the same thing. I don't know if it's going to copy this one or not. We'll have to wait. But 90,000 Virginia, coming here to West Virginia, 18,000 out. Ohio, 25,075. Guys, in these other areas, unless you're 10,000 or above, it's not going to show up, just like right here, 0 to nothing, or 0 to 10,000 outages. It will still remain blue. Alabama, you got 1,100. Tennessee, you got 8,120. In California, you got 15,202. Now, let us know here if it has anything to do with like rolling blackouts, because we've seen the heat in Southern California and over into the Phoenix area, or is it because of maybe some of the forest fires you've had? But guys, think about it. The heat that we've had in the last 3 or 4 days has been pretty rough here. It wasn't supposed to be that hot, but it has been. And we still have power. I think we lost it just once for not very long at all compared to some of the other times. So think about all these people, and if they still have not gotten all the numbers, but there could possibly be over 1,000 more dead because there's over 1,000 missing with over 100 reported dead, and that could have been going up. And you look at the devastation, people haven't seen that before. You've probably seen the one where 50 people were stranded on the hospital. On the top of it, it looked like the third floor. And I saw a church there in one of the towns that the water looked like it had got in above the second floor, one of the big brick churches with the white steeples there in the mountains. And it's just the same way any mountainous region. You build down near the creek because that's where the roads are. And I've seen railroad tracks wiped out down through there. So bridges wiped out, infrastructure are wiped out, sections of interstate. And Biden said today, I think it was, and they said, what are you going to do about coming in here and bringing support? He said, we're not coming back. This is all the support we have. Can you believe that? But Trump went in there, and I don't know how many truckloads of supplies he brought in, but he said that as long as he could, he would continue to supply it. And then when he became president, and we've got just a little over a month now, that things will change quite a bit. But right now, how many red states are in these areas that Biden said they're not getting any more help? Just think about it. Think about it. But guys, I can't take my focus off what's still coming here. And again, it's saddening to me to even bring up another storm right now. But here we have a 40% chance of cyclone formation 7 days. Very similar pattern to what we just went through. Now, one thing about it, it has weakened. It was 2 days ago a 50% chance of development. Now for 2 days it's been down to a 40% chance. And it looks like Joyce and Isaac, they're all being pulled up into what's almost a vertical convergence zone, kind of like vertical horizon. And it may have to do a lot, guys, with the tilting of our planet. Now, Kirk or this storm may form and get closer to the Bahamas. We'll just have to see, because right now it's not just these storms in this row. There's 3 or 4 other low-pressure systems tied in with this. We'll take a look at the national satellite imaging. But right now, this is what we need to worry about. 40% chance of cyclone formation in 7 days. Since a trough of low pressure located over the southwestern Caribbean Sea continues to produce some disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity, environmental conditions could become conducive for gradual development, and a tropical depression could form in a few days while the system is over the southern Gulf of Mexico or the northwestern Caribbean Sea. Interests along the U.S. Gulf Coast should continue to monitor the progress of the system. Now, guys, we've got a very active Atlantic season going on. It's just going on in different places than normal. Like I said, it's almost like a vertical horizon or vertical convergence zone right here. And just moving up, and we've been seeing storm after storm do this, even when they were in the Gulf of Mexico, feeding a tremendous amount of moisture up into the North Atlantic. And you're still seeing that, and you guys over into Europe are probably realizing it too. But look at the activity. Again, there's a low pressure system here. Isaac's up here. This storm right here has a very good chance of developing, but it possibly could follow this low pressure trough through here. Another one behind it. But right now what they're talking about is a formation in this area of the southern Caribbean right there. Now, a lot of this I've noticed throughout the day has kind of collided inland right here at this point. Now, I don't know in their predictions if they're counting on this low pressure system. See this very dry counterclockwise rotation coming in? It's going from red to orange and yellow because we're looking at it from nighttime through daytime back to nighttime. Very powerful storm here, but I don't think we're going to have to be concerned about it. Shipping interests, I would not want to be there because it's very powerful. Again, look at this and notice how widespread the remnants of this record-breaking storm is down into central Mississippi, getting into southern Alabama. And we talked about it for several days before the scene came ashore. that was going to come up here and circle around, and that tremendous amounts of moisture would hit. It was just obvious by looking at the tracking and the high pressure system. But now it's there, and each day I've seen this creep moving south of the. It's basically not much moisture in it, but it was this afternoon. I noticed it was enough cloud cover to cool it down a few degrees. Let's zoom down into the Caribbean. Now, just out of this picture, right in there to the left is the area that they're showing developing. It's kind of moving into shore. You saw that. But right here is a very good close-up of this low-level spin. Again, it is a counterclockwise spin just like the hurricanes. Whether they're counting on this one mixing with the low-pressure system below that has got a lot of moisture involved, I'm not sure, but it looks like whether or not they are, that they could. Because, again, right out of this, we got this system spinning in over the top of it. Now, this is kind of a wide scan of a lot of different images, but my point being here that everything out in the Atlantic, look right here, this is Joyce, right there, everything's moving to the north. Again, vertical horizon, check this out. This is that powerful one out there, Kirk, check that out. Here's your satellite imaging, but look at all the spaghetti models. In this time of the year, guys, we get very powerful Atlantic hurricanes. Earlier in the year, you see them more in the Caribbean, forming in the Gulf. But this is a different season. And we've talked about 152 mile, now a month ago, 152 mile northward advance of the storms and showers that are normally near the tropical convergence zone. And you saw the video where we were showing the increased greening of the desert because of that. I don't think that stopped. And I think, and I've almost said something about this much earlier in the year where we were looking at the sun setting much further to the north than normal. And I kept looking at it and kind of going, putting the picture in my head and trying to figure this thing out. We do know that the Earth is tilted at least 152 miles. It's tilted to it's downward. That way, the angle of the sun, which creates the tropical convergence zone, rises too. But did it not only tilt down and to the south, but did it tilt at an angle to the south? In other words, this vertical movement that we're seeing in all of these storms, look at that. Here's a spaghetti model of everything out there. Look, nothing's coming, and this is normally where we get those big bad hurricanes. Now that's shifted over into the Caribbean, and the Atlantic storms are moving to the north. We haven't seen one Atlantic storm really come in here very much at all this year, and now we're almost in October. Now let's take a look at the Canadian model, the full Atlantic model. Here you see the system we're watching. Notice it comes in a little further south than what we saw Helene come in. Here's that storm that's coming, the last one off the coast of Africa. Check this out. Everything's being pulled north. High pressure's not blocking. It's trying to. It's just not doing it. It's going to break that part. And you guys in the UK, you should be getting a lot of moisture as it's cooling down. Again, here is the storm that we're watching. 40% chance of development coming in there. But right here, now this is going to be powerful. Will it get into that gap, or will the high pressure close on it? If it follows the pattern we're seeing, it's going to move into the North Atlantic. If not, this could be one of our first big Atlantic hurricanes coming into the Northeast. But guys, again, I want to just say this. Let me pause this. Now, talking about the tilting of the Earth, and I know I'm old and crazy, and what we're talking about is the convergence zone is usually right down and along in this area right here, International Convergence Zone. You see the Cabo Verde Islands there. Everything's been coming a little further north, and all of this moisture right here that you're seeing was 152 miles a month ago further south. And all you notice the video we did, it is greening further north. But with this angle, and also looking at some of the sunset pictures and images here from our house during the period we first started mentioning having to move the solar panels a little further north, and people talking about having to put your plants maybe from the front porch to the back porch or change windows, and never had to do that before. And with this convergence zone, I'm wondering if the Earth, and that's just me, possibly did not just go south that far, but did it do it at an angle like this? See the convergence zones. Now I'm old and crazy, I admit that, but there's a reason for everything. So maybe we had a tilted slant forward, and I think we're going to see this continue further to the north. This thing may get up into, here's the Canary Islands. We watched the volcanoes come from for a couple of years, different volcanoes. Could we start to see that regreen? Now the Canary Islands are very green, but the desert here, could we see that regreen? I don't know. How will it affect the storms? Right now, if I'm correct about this tilting south and at an angle, that would explain all of this action here. And you saw that straight line during the satellite images. Just me again, I'm crazy. That's how it is. But let's let it play forward again. Then turning north, like everything else, look at that. That storm's going to follow it after it moves across Florida. Now, let me say this. When we watched Helene come out of the Caribbean, they were downplaying its intensity. I don't think the Gulf of Mexico has cooled off enough, and we're looking at the heat, having to get outside today. The air is not cooling off very much either. And when the air doesn't cool off, it's heating the surface of the ocean even more. I think this could very well be the path because of the tilt I'm talking about. It's too early to say, but I will say that I think, watch, if it shoots a gap, watch this, just like the other one, pretty much very close. It's going to be a much stronger storm. It could move anywhere in this area, but right now it's showing this angle tilt. Guys, we're watching it. You watch it, it's a heads up. Be safe.